right, so in this problem we have a mound of gravel. So here's our gravel, and it's little pieces of stone. Okay, and it says it's in the shape of a cone. So think of a cone. The cone has a base that's a circle with a radius. And then it says a mound of gravel is in the shape of a cone with a height. The height is from the top of the cone down to the center of the circle. That's the height. And the height is 2r. It says the height is equal to twice the radius. Okay. And then it says the volume of the cone in terms of the radius is given by, and they give us this function. So I just want to point out, because it might not be super clear in their example here, the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. But they already substituted in the 2r, and that's how they got this formula right here. Okay? So we don't have to do that work. They already did it for us. So we're going to write that formula. V equals 2/3 pi r cubed. Find the inverse of the function that determines the volume V of a cone and is a function of the radius r. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for r. Okay? We're not going to change this equation. We're just going to write it in a different form. So to do that, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/2. I'm going to have to divide by pi or multiply by 1/pi. So it's going to be 3v over 2 pi. So you can work on that a little bit with algebra. So that's a nice way to write it as a numerator and a denominator. Pi is just a constant, so you can remember that. And now we'll have to take the cubed root. Okay, so the cubed root of 3v over 2 pi equals r. All right, I'm going to rewrite this over here. R equals the cubed root of 3v over 2 pi. So pi is a constant. They tell us to use 3.14, so we're going to go ahead and use that. And then they have to give us either the radius or they have to give us the volume. But they're going to give us the volume. That's why we did this, so that we could figure out what the radius is. Okay, and it says, use this inverse function to calculate the radius of such a mound measuring 100 cubic feet. That cubic feet tells you its volume, because you might be wondering, well, how do I know that's the volume? It's measured in cubic feet. Now they have it typed out, but you could write it as cubic feet like that. And so this is just the unit of measure on volume. Volume is a cubic measurement. Okay, so we know the volume. So this is V. And then we're going to use 3.14. So R is equal to the cubed root of 3 times 100 over 2 times 3.14. Now, some of you might want to just, pull your calculator out and start plugging that in. For me, I probably would simplify it. But we do want to get an answer here. It's going to be 150 over 3.14. Now, on your calculator, like with my calculator, I don't think I have a button for cubed root. Oh, wait, I do. Okay, well, I do have a button for cubed root. If you didn't have a button for cubed root, you could write it as 150 over 3.14 and raise it to the power of 1 divided by 3. Okay, I'm going to erase that little line there. Okay, so you can write this as 150 over 3.14 to the 1/3 power, but when you're putting it in a calculator, you have to be careful to put the parentheses around it, okay, for the exponent, so just be careful on that. It's kind of a calculator issue. My calculator has a button, so let me see what I've got here. I'm going to go second function. Oops, gotta turn it on. Second function, and then when do I get to put the 3 in? Maybe I don't have a button. Maybe it's just a square root. No, I think it's a cubed root if I want it to be. I think I have to put in the 3, and then I put in, you might have a calculator like mine, so I have to put the 3 in, and then it's showing this on my calculator, and that 3 is for the root that I want, or the index that I want. But then I've got to put in parentheses, and I've got to put 150 divided by 3.14 and close that off. Okay, so let's do that. 150 divided by 3.14, close that off, and I get 3.62844. So it's about 3.6284, and it keeps going. They didn't tell me to round off. Since they gave me pi with 2 decimal places, I would round it off to 2 places, but so I would say that. Now, what's going to be the unit of measure? Well, they gave it to us in cubic feet. Radius is a linear measurement, so that's going to be just in feet. Okay, so kind of a lot going on at the end of that problem with some of the practical applications, but good to go over that stuff.